called you twice because I couldn't get logged in.
Somehow you
It went straight to voicemail and then I got in. Third time I got in, I'm in. But I didn't call you, you'll see.
Okay, today is very special to me, and I'll tell you why. Because today is a day that we're going to talk about my favorite thing in the world. And no, it's not Tofi, because he's a person, not a thing. It's about writing. Writing is such a release for me. Now, the reason I'm getting very much pleasure, my daughter Sukana knows, the reason I'm getting such pleasure out of this is that two of the wonderful people who are here are two people who, when I first knew them, were not authors. And two people who I won't say I mentored them because they both had their own talent, but two people who I spoke to all the time, and they got to the field of being authors. So I'm going to start with them, and then I'll end with me because we all know about me. So let's start with the newest author, Miss Najette.
Hello.
Yay! I'm so
she's back.
Najette is back. Okay, and well, I've written so many times about this when you post. Sanam is a friend of mine from New York Cares.
Yeah.
She is a volunteer. She volunteers on one of my projects, the project with the immigrants, and also a very dedicated worker. Maybe after this meeting, she'll become a writer, one of our writers too. You never know. And she's laughing because she does have directors to a couple of things. And I want to start with Najette because Najette started writing these poems for a long time, way before she ever knew Lynn. But when we put these poems together, I saw the beauty in them. And we had two things in common. We both have a very deep love of God, and we both have a love of writing and poetry. So I want to start with Najette. Tofi, mute everyone else because there's something in the... No, okay, sure. Good. I want to start with Najette. And Najette, you can tell us a little bit how you started writing and then tell us about your beautiful book. And maybe you could read one or two poems from your book. That would be good. Okay?
Okay, Najette, you're there. Go ahead. Yes. The stage is yours, Najette.
Tofi, tell her to unmute because I'm not hearing a thing.
Everyone is muted, but not Najette. Najette, do you hear me? Hello, Najette. She has a problem with her connection, you know. Yeah, Najette. Okay. She's setting her micro.
Okay, let's give her a minute or two. We have plenty of time.
Okay, go ahead. Fine.
Najette just published her book not too long ago.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Can you increase the volume of your micro? We hear you, but a little bit lower. Good.
Pushed out.
Okay.
Go ahead, Najette.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Nice.
So Najat Battayeb is a teacher of English at middle school from Algeria. And I write poetry and short stories and articles in English. I will start by telling you my story. How did I start writing poetry, especially? Poetry knocked my door without any intention from me. This was in the winter of 2015 when I was listening to an Islamic song, a spiritual one, which I like very much. A sentence or a line of the song created in me a sense inside me to write something without any intention from me. At that moment, I wrote my first lines of poetry, which is now included in my poem To My Beloved. It is in my books. Yeah, and in that period, I knew Lynn for the first time because I knew Mr. Tawfiq before her. And the moment I started the period I started writing, I met Lynn, and I sent her all what I was writing. And I remember her reaction was a sentence I still remember. She said to me, "Great thoughts do not stop." And from that moment till now, I am included in all her sisterhood books. So thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Tawfiq, and thank you for everyone who believed in me.
Oh, I'm
You
so
deserve
proud.
it. You
You
deserve
made
my
us
daughter.
so,
You
you
are
have
the
no
best.
idea how proud you made us, especially me, because I love your poetry. Okay,
Yeah.
do you want to read from your books, or you want to read a couple of
Yeah.
poems to us? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I will bring just the book.
Read that first poem that you wrote. That's altogether fabulous. Najat was a little bit quiet when she first started writing. She's not, but her writing was just, you feel her writing. You'll see what I mean in a minute.
I will write to my beloved, my first poem ever.
I love it.
I will
Go ahead.
read another one if you want. To my beloved, all praises to you, my Lord, for everything to me you brought. By your graces in shelter I was put, and by patience I was taught. Patience with what you prevented is sweet as if you granted. Preventing and giving are equal, for in the love dictionary everything is possible. You are the all-aware, the all-knowing, so no more complaining, I'm promising. Complaining by this mind, a mind created by your hand, it never comes, I ensure. So what arguing's for? I'm staying satisfied. How not? And you are my guide. I'm not an angel. I'm human that's thankful. Yes, I am your lover. For above all, you are the initiator.
I love that poem. You feel, isn't that Shirley is saying wow? And she doesn't wow that
Wow.
often.
Thanks,
Wow.
Lynn. Can I read another one?
Yes, please.
Can you read really slowly? Because I can't follow otherwise.
Okay.
It's hard for my ear.
Yes. Now I will read another poem entitled "You Still Fulfill." It is about the love of our Prophet Muhammad to his beloved wife Khadija. Within my heart, you are Prophet Muhammad. I saw you serve
Sorry,
Khadija's
Najat,
friends.
can you hear me? Najat, can
Yes.
you hear me? Yeah, please,
Yes, Tawfiq.
the micro has a little noise. No, my advice, just plug it up and plug it, just the micro. And I'm sure the noise will disappear. That's why Lasita couldn't hear you as much as, yeah, okay? So just try.
I am not using the headset. I'm talking
Oh,
Okay.
great, now
directly.
it's okay. Go ahead.
And now I hear you. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Najat.
You still fulfill. Within my heart, you are Prophet Muhammad. I saw you serve Khadija's friends, reviving love over and over. Khadija is dead, but love you still remember. You still fulfill. You took off your outfit, you spread it for them to sit. Khadija has gone, but you still fulfill. When she knew of your good character, she hired you for her trade. You with the trust, she did not hesitate. You still fulfill. She wanted you as husband. Her feelings to a friend she did confide. Though she needed no man, in love with you she fell. You still fulfill. The friend proposed her to you. She was older. As a wife, you accepted her though. Love knows no border. You did not say no. You still fulfill. When you first met Gabriel to receive God's words, you felt frightened, you felt alone. Khadija was there to comfort. In her lap, you sought refuge. She never spared an effort. You still fulfill. She strengthened your heart. Your fear did depart. you still fulfill. She reminded you, God never you disgraces. You help the needy, you help the poor. With kinship you maintain ties. Guests you kindly serve, you never tell lies. You still fulfill. She was the first in you to believe God had greeted her with peace. You still fulfill. When your people fought you, you had no father, you had no mother. In hard times, she was by your side. Of her, you always felt the pride. She was there to serve. Your heart she did deserve. You still fulfill. When she died, for her you heavily cried. You called that year the one of grief. She was a woman of strong belief. God promised her with paradise in her life. In Islam, she is a great woman, together with Fatima Zahra, the Virgin Mary, and Asiya, Pharaoh's wife. And that's the end.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Najet's
Wonderful.
writing hits your heart because she's talking about a subject that we will love in our own way. It doesn't matter who you pray to. What matters is that you pray. And that's Najet, I'm very proud of you.
Thanks,
And I know that your book did very well, and just keep writing. Never stop. That's my advice to any new writer, is keep writing and never stop. Now, the next person who's going to share, before I show you the many sides of Lynn, Rebel Lynn, Crazy Lynn, and Lynn the Fighter. The next one is, there are no words that I can describe about my daughter. And what makes Sukaina so special to me is that she was at the wedding day in Morocco. She sang at my wedding and has a voice more beautiful than anyone you can ever imagine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just her being there meant more to us than anything in the world. So even when she disappears, we still love her. So
Yeah.
Sukaina started out as a very reluctant writer, but right, Lasita, that's perfect. Sukaina started out as a very reluctant writer, but once she started, she couldn't stop. And she wrote several books with me, not just one, but there were a whole bunch of them. Okay, hit it, Sukaina. Unmute yourself.
By the way, I'm looking for.
Wow, that's a lot of flattery.
I'm looking for the song she sang on our wedding. When she finishes, I will let you watch this video.
Yeah, show us the video.
Later.
Okay, we're talking about writing now.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sukaina.
Wow, me and writing, I mean, when I look back at those years, I would have never thought that I would actually go for, I don't know, writing a poem or even a line, that rhymes or something like that. Because what really interested me back in writing is that back then I was a little girl. I could not talk about my feelings to my parents because I was not really that close to them as I am now. And the only thing that really, was close to me as to someone to speak to is the paper and the ink. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to talk, through writing, whether to a stranger, whether to someone that I know would actually read my words and feel them and understand, my feelings and, the troubles that I'm going through. I still remember that the first poem I wrote in Arabic, I was 10 years old. I wrote about Palestine. I wrote about the oppressed people there. And I still remember the first poem I wrote in English, which was sent to Lynn Rosen. I still remember. Usually when I write and I show my teachers at school, I still remember that one of them just told me, "You didn't write this. This isn't you writing this. I think someone else wrote it, and you came here, to show off." And I'm like, I don't need to show off. I just need somebody to read me, to listen to me and read my words. Because I don't need to be, on the spot, like, I don't know, under the spotlight or something like that. I just need somebody to talk to, and I didn't find that person. So that's why I'm writing. So most of my teachers, like either like Arabic teachers, hopefully my English teachers were nice. So they were not like, you are writing for the grade or something like that. They understood what I'm doing, but mostly I would get like 0 out of 20 because they thought that this is not my writing, and I, you know, this is not my level or something like that. So somehow I stopped writing. But then when I met Lynn, and she encouraged me, and I was like, you know, I was very surprised that she really liked, you know, how I wrote, how I expressed myself, and the feedback. And that's what matters, you know, to have like, to meet a person that has the culture of positive feedback, someone that really can guide you through many things and can show you how to express your feelings or encourage you to do so. So from that moment, I knew that I would not, you know, be stopping. And I wrote many poems with Lynn. I wrote so many short stories. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed expressing myself. Sometimes I get surprised, you know, when I read my poem, like, oh my God, did I write this? You know, it's really good to always aspire to be a good writer, and, you know, to just let other people see and read through all your words, all the things that you're writing about. And now that I am very close to my family and we started talking, I showed them some of my writings in Arabic, and, you know, they really appreciated that. And sometimes, as I said, sometimes even, you know, if things are, you know, going negative in your life, sometimes those negative points have like, I don't know, an aim of some sort. I think if I didn't have that problem of connection with my family when I was young, I wouldn't have gone to writing. So, you know, a problem really created something beautiful for me. And I still do write, and, you know, sometimes I do write in Arabic. I have a journal. I do write about my feelings. I still remember I wrote about heartbreak. Remember, Lynn?
Yes, I
in the book, Women's Lives Scattered in Words. I said, you know, this is the book. So this is the first book that we wrote, me and Lynn.
Oh my God,
When Jewels Talk. Yes, and this is the second book we wrote, me and Lynn, Women's Lives Scattered in Words. I mean, it talks about everything: love, hatred,
it's important to get those things out, you know, that's why that was so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, even if I stay here 24 hours talking about how I'm very happy that I found something that would, I don't know, that somehow saved me, it wouldn't be enough, because writing for me, it's like more of a companion, you know, in hardship and, you know, even in happy time.
It is a salvation.
Yeah, it is a salvation. Not many, and that's why, you know, when I teach, you know, little children, sometimes I just give them, you know, paper and try to tell them, write whatever you like. And sometimes they draw, and it is type of expressing themselves.
Anyway,
Sometimes they write poems, you know, in Arabic or French, and it makes me happy because it's somehow a way for them to express also what they are feeling, and they feel very happy to be able to do that in my class. Not many teachers would actually go for writing for, you know, little kids in either primary schools or language centers here, because they are not focused on what, you know, they are focusing on giving the information to the child, not on what the child has for them, you know. So I am very interested in what, you know, my kids, you know, my little learners feel and express.
Exactly.
So I do give them 5 minutes or 10 minutes at the end to just write whatever or draw whatever they feel like. and it makes me happy. So yeah, whenever I think of writing, I just smile. It shows that I am very happy to have that. Yeah,
You
the
want to share
culture.
some of your beauty with us?
Yeah, of course, of course. So, like, I will share two poems. One, it's in this book. I wrote it with you. So this is one of my favorite poems, and I think that when you came to Morocco, I gave you this as a gift
Oh,
to
I
my
know. It's
mother.
up in my
It's
living room. It's
remember?
right there. It's still there.
Yeah. So to my mother, I write. To Lena, I write. 8 years. Now it's more than 8 years. 8 years close to the heart, away in another land, away from my sight. Tolina is a story of two golden hearts, a love story to ignore. Oh, I can't. Tolina, I say and confess, in my life, you are a bless, a perfect player to my board of chess. Tolina, I sing a song, one of its kind. I say the skies are blind, to breaking me down they are bound, but the star is sparkling, swimming around, waiting for its glimmer to be praised and found. Tolina, I was found, related by soul, separated by blood and land. Tolina is a story of a kind love bite, an arrow to the heart, a love joy to the sight, a Fairuz song chanted in a Saharan twilight, a Qabani poem in an Arabian night, an Indian sword made for love to fight, a Persian horse for the battle to ride. Tolina is a simple journey of a butterfly kite and a stormy day to guide, a speech to the love court, a case of love the great Shakespeare wrote, in a holy sinking boat. Oh, Tolina, I write, you are my spiritual bless that shall last. A prayer I know that God will grant. To be separated, oh, I can't. An order from heart of hearts, sent to heaven's tree of wishes to forever last. So this is one of my favorites. This is when, you got together, you and Tawfiq.
I know.
And that's why I chose the, the word.
And it's right in my, if you ever get here on the Fulbright, it's right in my living room so I could look at it all the time.
Sure.
So, Tolina is like a mix between your names both, guys. And it was wonderful to write about you, and because I really,
cherish.
I really enjoyed, sharing my feelings about you, and especially, the wedding and everything, and I enjoyed all the beautiful sentiment feelings. So this was still one of my favorite poems.
My favorite poem too. But I love all your poetry. Okay, one more. Go ahead. Hit us with one more.
So the last, I want to share with you the last poem. It's in this book about Ukraine. It's here. Yeah. I have it on my phone.
God, Tofi loved it.
Thank you so much for mentioning Ukraine. Thank you.
That was Tofi's favorite poem. Go ahead.
So, I wanted to talk about Ukraine, and I wanted to talk about what's going on in the world. And of course, I could not, as part, because I belong to a culture that, that it's either we talk about everything or we just don't talk. So I did talk about every country that is under oppression. And that's why my poem is called Palestine, Iraq, Yemen, Syria, Ukraine, what's next?
Yeah.
So what's next? I shed all my tears over Palestine and the Middle East. I hugged the children's pain in my sorrowful dreams. I buried their bodies in a holy land cursed with death and war. My heart was sinking deep in a piercing pain. I wanted to run away from the battle of beasts. I smelled the scene of war from a bloody place. Where am I? What's next? Iraq, the little crying child said, welcome to the raging hell on earth. A holy land of civilization it was. With a lie, a roaring war rose. Noises of bombs shredded people to pieces. Men, women, children, who cares? What's next? Do I hear shattering screams? Of whom, I wonder? Are they the Syrians on the border? No? Tell me, little bird, about the ones suffering in silence and their sky full of fallen bombs. Are they the Yemeni people asking to be heard, asking for peace? Palestinians are fighting for their land. They were called terrorists. Iraqis wanted their freedom, but all they were condemned by a lie. They were also called terrorists. Yemeni and Syrian people fought for a better life. They found none. They got scattered as refugees. No one wanted them, even though these countries bombarded their lands. Cursed they were, for no one cared for the Middle Easterns. For Brown was equal to terror. For Brown was born for war. Is it true? Why don't you speak up for your brothers in humanity? Are you safe? Oh, ghosts of wars of the past, tell me what's next. In Europe, it resides like a beautiful queen, but no one knew she will lose her throne. She thought she has friends to defend her in the time of need. Trust me, my dear Ukraine, they threw you to the devil, knowing the pain you will gain, knowing the scars the war will draw on your beautiful face. Oh, children of Ukraine, I hear your screams, I feel your pain, for I have seen it somewhere else, for I have felt it somewhere else. Cry louder, but only for heavens above. Wipe your tears, for they, the evil ones, lack solidarity and care. I'm sorry to say this, but I lost hope. For wars never stop, for our greed never ends. I want to save all, but I'm just one person that holds the crying heart for peace. Who's with me? Are there more people like me? For I want to feel the hope rising in Palestine, in Syria, in Yemen, in Iraq, in the freshly wounded Ukraine. For their children, I call upon you to yell and scream. No war on earth I dream. No war on earth I dream. I call upon you to yell and scream. No more people's painful screams. Oh, humanity, please tell me what's next. So this one was for the book.
Wonderful.
And it was really painful for me to, write all about it because, seeing all the videos, seeing all, the things that really,
Okay, I don't know. To her,
Yeah, I'm looking for her.
I think
She
that
was
she was
disconnected. Yeah, waiting for her to get back.
okay.
Yeah,
There
she's
she is.
there. Okay, so can
Yeah.
I go ahead? That's
So
all.
I was saying to write this poem about war, it was really tiring and painful for me because I already had enough, the war is already there in the Middle
Sure.
East and everything.
Mhm.
And to write another poem about war again, like a new war, I never thought I would witness another one, especially in Europe. But like this is it. That's why I always said, what's next? Because what's really next? I mean, the human greed for war and for bloodshed it doesn't end. So
it's
yeah,
terrible.
yeah, it is terrible.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, Sakina. I really
Okay.
enjoyed that.
Thank you. I hope
Okay,
you enjoyed it. I hope you did.
It touched my heart. Okay, so now you're going to hear from Lady Lynn.
Something
When I
first.
first hope I can get through
Lynn,
this.
can I say
spot.
something?
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah,
out,
sure, go ahead.
I'm out here in California crying.
Okay,
Listen,
wait, hey.
Georgette, that's all I want to say. It was so, touched me so deeply.
I know it would. So maybe you can
You
give
know,
me
the
some
older
tips.
you get, the more,
Thank you, Shirley.
Yeah.
Thank you.
it's just so beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now comes Lady Lynn. I went through many stages in my life, some good, some bad. Everybody sees my God poetry on Facebook. I'm not going to share that because that's just part of who I am as a person. But
Mhm.
way before I ever met Tofika Sadiki or any of you, I went through a very rough time in my life. And I wrote a book called The Compass. It was not the first book I wrote. And here's the cover. If everybody could see it, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I wrote, I had to write because if I didn't write, I probably would have just crashed. When I loved, I did pretend there would never be an end. Only happiness and utter glee. I loved him. He loved me when I loved. Getting messages in the morning made my heart sing. Such beautiful words. Oh, how those bells did ring. Ring with beauty, ring with love. You, my own turtle dove. When I loved unconditionally. I lost my pride. Eventually, I was lost at sea. Did you ever really notice me? You were the light at the end of my tunnel, the sugar in my tea, whipped cream on the top of the ice cream sundae. That is what you meant to me. When I loved, forever is what I thought, yet so many feelings have been caught. Now I know it's true. When I loved, it could never be you. That's the side of Lynn from many years ago. I suffered, and I still have the scars. This is Lynn today, the activist, the rebel with always a cause. My biggest cause is homelessness and hunger. That doesn't mean that I'm not dying because of what's going on in Ukraine. It just means that homeless and hunger, when the war in the Ukraine ends, which I hope someday it will, and I hope it'll be soon, we will always go back and there will always be homelessness and hunger. So my poems are basically to reach out to those people who don't seem to, they're too busy going to Saks Fifth Avenue to buy the latest fashion. And they don't seem to really think that they can make a difference, or it just so happens that they really just don't care enough to make a difference, which I'm looking for one specific poem. And then I'll tell you how I got turned on to poetry, which in itself is a story. So here we go. I'll just take any poem. The door to homelessness. The door to homelessness is open to all, to those who once succeeded, to those who fall. It is not the place to be. When you are homeless, you are never free. Food isn't within your reach. Nutrition isn't something you can seek. Someone's trash becomes your treasure. Believe me, it's no pleasure. No pleasure to dig in a trash bin. It strips you of your dignity within a body that once climbed the ladder of success. Yet today there is no happiness. Remember, please do. The door of homelessness one day might open to you. Help the hungry. And what I have to say is that Lynn is always fighting for this. I'm so sick of speaking to people who look at me as if I'm crazy and, oh, it's not going to happen to me because I'm secure. I live in my gorgeous house my estate, or I live here, I live there. And I'm sharing one more poem that, and I said whatever, anybody else can talk after this, but, and I'll give you my background, but this is a poem I wrote for a daughter of a very good friend. She lost her children because she was a drug addict, and she was very high on crystal meth. She broke her mother's heart. She broke the heart of everybody around her. Yet she was high and happy. Or at least she thought she was, until she had to live in a car, which changed the whole world around. But the point is that there is kind of a happy end. It's not an ending yet. The mother took the child, one of the children. The father had the rest of the children, and she took care of the child, nurtured the child, and the child is doing great today. And there's a good chance that the mother will get the child back. So this is my poem. I call it Kay's Song. I am somebody. My clothes may look tattered and not in style. Food I haven't eaten for a while. Yet you find me repulsive and sick. This is not the life I did pick. I am somebody. I am human just like you. A run of bad luck has me tired and blue. No money for clothes for a job interview. Is that the way you want to live? I don't think so. Do you? I am somebody. No one can feel my pain. There is no shelter from the rain. I depend on the soup kitchen to eat. There is no menu. There is no sweet treat. Yet I'm grateful for any meal. A cup of soup is a big deal. I am somebody. Look into my sad eyes. I am not at a costume party wearing a disguise, just a lost soul wandering aimlessly, trying to be who I have to be. I am somebody. Now, what I'm going to tell you, I'm giving you a 2-minute, that's enough. I'm giving you a 2-minute briefing on how to start. And in the 3rd grade, I had this marvelous teacher who all she did the whole afternoon, it was sucked to us. All we did was read and do this and do math. The afternoon was all about writing. She would take us outside. We would sit on the grass outside the school and we would write. It didn't matter what you wrote. And just like Sakina said, whether you were drawing a picture, although in that grade, she didn't accept pictures, but she accepted pictures after the picture matched the words. And she really instilled in me the love of poetry. So I went home from that day. The very first day I started writing and writing and writing. So we know that there are a lot of books here. I feel best when I'm writing about causes. In the beginning of my life, in my heavy writing, I had loads of books before that trying to free every country in the world, shoes for Nigeria, this and that. But and that's how Shirley is laughing, because that's how I met Shirley. She sent me shoes to give to Nigerian children because they walked on the road, they hurt their feet. For some reason, I couldn't sleep at night knowing that. So I started this big campaign and brought out all the shoes that I collected, 200 pairs, to the Nigerian embassy, who couldn't wait to get rid of me because I told them what I thought of the way that they were treating the children. And I think that writing for causes, look, it's one thing. Everybody sitting in this screen can tell me, there isn't one person here who can tell me that they didn't have one point in their life where they met a person who they had aggravation with or who they loved and it was unrequited love. Those poems are just fine. But it doesn't mean as much to me as when I'm writing for the homeless or writing for any cause. Because when I'm writing for a cause, I'm saying to the world, this is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not forcing you, but I want you to know that it's important to me that you listen to my message. And I have to say, especially in Facebook, which I don't go to as often as I used to because I don't have the time, I have to say that in Facebook, I've gotten some responses to my poems. Not everybody has liked them. I mean, I had a Russian lady tell me off when I wrote about Putin. I mean, too bad for her. Let her learn to live with it. Thank you, Lisita. That's just it, Lisita. It's not to make anybody say, hey, Lynn Rosen is great. Look what she's doing. It's for people to say, listen to what she's saying. Maybe I haven't really thought about this. And I think that that's what gets to me. It's everything that's going around, everything that happens in life I have to write about because I can't help myself. And I have another very gifted writer sitting here who I know won't share anything with us. and his name is Mr. Tofika Sadiki. When I first met my Tofi, and I always call him my Tofi, when I first met my Tofi, I really never knew that he could write. I knew that he could cook and that he was very talented, but I never knew about how prolific a writer this man is. This man writes like also a lot about God, a lot about feelings. And I've learned not to push him anymore because he's too busy with his website to really, but his writing is to die for. Do you want to talk a little bit about being an author, Mr. Tofik?
Yeah, first thing first, I was teaching English in Morocco as second language. And, you know, I just teach it in primary school, and my English wasn't really the American accent or British accent, but I was teaching because kids there needed to know the language. When I came here, I realized that I have no skills to teach even ESL. You know, when I came here to US, I realized that my English is still low. Anyway, just to mention that, but I love this language, and especially my background is I had the mathematics sciences background in my high school. Then I studied in a banking school in Morocco. Then I worked in a bank. I worked in the business field, then computers. I have never been in university for English linguistic studies or whatsoever related to English. But I love that language. And I always have dreamed to be a teacher, even in my childhood, because my hero was my dad, Meher Rip. He was a teacher, he was a supervisor, he was a principal in Moroccan educational system ministry. Anyway, the point is that I love English and I fight to learn myself. I'm a self-taught teacher, so teacher between brackets, because I realized that when I came to US that my English is really so low. And even accent, you can notice that my accent is not really great comparing with New York accent anyway. And I still do grammar mistakes too, but the point is that I love this language. And here we come. When I met this beautiful lady in front of you, this angel, yeah, I mean it, seriously. Lynn has a special, quality. I'm not talking about her because she is my wife. She's my best friend forever. She's my mentor. She's my total queen too. She's my partner and a partner in crime too. We do many silly things, but the point is that Lynn made me love this language, and she started teaching me, or in fact, it's not teaching because as next teacher, I know that the teacher and the students, or it's not that the teacher should be master in linguistic or should be professional. But Lynn has this secret, and this secret of teaching and mentoring Lynn has. Unfortunately, I speak about my Moroccan. Most of teachers don't have, because they cut the relationship with the students. I'm not generalizing, not all teachers, but I was a teacher, and I was in touch with many teachers, my colleagues that I respect, but they have quite of lacking the touch for students. It's not only grammar, it's not only reading, it's not only lot of things, style, syntax. No, it's the touch, how you inspire your student, even in primary school, high school, secondary school, and even in university. I had a lot of doctors, professors teaching in university, but they are, oh my God, the top in, let me say, linguistic, but they lack this touch. Lynn has this. she makes you love what you learn. She makes you get better and walk in your learning step by step, and she do it with a subtle meaning. Okay, so my point is that I never write even a poem when I was in Morocco, despite that I told you I'm not a teacher, but because I love this language, I wrote some sentences,
Beautiful
my
poetry.
expression. No, I'm not. But Lynn, let me say, injected in me this love for poetry. And I started by composing some poems, showing my love to her. And the first, she helped me write our first book together. I never write a poem. I never write a book because I'm dummy in that. I'm not supposed to be even an English teacher. I'm just someone who was in a bank, then working in business, whatsoever. The first book we wrote, which is Spiritual Connection, I still have it and I can share with you for free. There was no selling on Amazon. I'm so sorry, because sometimes people, criticize the way that we sell books online, and
They
they
all
make
go to courses.
money.
That's why we
They
don't have
make
no money.
money. It's not real. What Lynn sells or write and publish, people think that we sell that online for our own earning. It's wrong. I'm not criticizing anyone, but just to tell you this truth. This book, Spiritual Connection, changed my life and injected me a kind of hope, a kind of inspiration, a kind of loving the language. So my lovely wife, this lady in front of you, look how so sweet she is, helped me write. And then it starts, we wrote other books. She inspired me, she supported me, and we wrote even now, maybe most of you don't know, I wrote with Lynn almost 11 books, most of them about God or religion. I'm sorry, because when I mention religion, people just get quite, oh my God. Yeah, I know.
This is family.
So 11 books, whether poems between me and Lynn, and some books about God. I don't speak about Islam or religion at all. I speak about spirituality. And I was raised in a family. My dad was a spiritual leader in his school, in all over. And he taught us he always used to tell me, hey, Tofi, don't be religious, be spiritual. And since I was a teenager, and he thought, oh, what's the difference between spiritual and religious, Dad? And he sent me, when you got a fruit, there was the fruit, and inside you have the source, the grain. He told me the outside is a religion, but the most important side in the fruit is the grain, the seed. So religious people are only the cover, but the seed is spirituality. So
100%.
yeah, so try to be spiritual, not
Okay.
religious. And you know what's happening now in our world, it's I'm sorry, it's a bullshit to see religious people or people calling them, they are making terror in every religion, in every faith. They are just making people go away and hate anyone with the faith. I mean, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, all faiths, Buddhist, atheist, though this stereotype, it has two sides. The one who hates every faith, and I can understand why they do that, and the ones who doesn't know, they just like parrots, they just talk. Okay. Anyway, I know I talk too much. Sorry again for talking too
Okay,
much.
thank you for sharing. Toby.
One point, please, Marlene. Elaine injected in me this quality of writing, but I'm doing my best to learn, and I'm every day learning more and more. And thank you for this patience, for listening to me, and thank you so much. I love you,
Thank
lady.
Sophie,
I
we
love
love
you.
you
I
too.
love you.
Shirley's about ready to cry again. Okay, I want to ask Lasita if she wants to share her haiku.
Yeah.
I could read it, although
Why not?
I put it in the panel chat, but maybe
Yeah.
some people are on the.
Just read it to us, just like we did.
Okay. In the meadows sweet,
Mhm.
the breezes blow free and clear. Tall
Yeah.
grass bends gently. And I actually think it's kind of symbolic, and maybe because Ukraine has so much
Exactly.
land where sunflowers are growing and wheat, and they're the breadbasket of Europe, and it's really important that they start planting soon. So, and maybe the tall grass is Putin, and maybe he will bend. We'll see.
We can only hope.
We can hope, yes.
That's right. I love haiku because I used to teach my students haiku too, so I know what that's like. Shirley and Sanam, have either of you done any writing? Shirley, I know you did some writing for me a long time ago. I just don't have any. Unmute yourself, Shirley.
I haven't done any writing, Lynn, but I'm realizing, listening to, particularly to Najette, that I need to write. I'm just torn up right
Your
now.
life really has so much that you could write about.
Well, if I can say this, and I'm not saying like I'm special, because I'm not, but having been raised by a father who was in 2 wars and a prisoner of war held by the Chinese for 3.5 years, there's something that's coming up for me again. You know, I went from a little girl when he finally did come home to seeing this. I didn't understand what I was living with was the horrors of a war, 2 wars. And by the time I was 18, I was a complete anti-war activist in Oklahoma, if you can imagine. I don't have anything else to say because I'm just going to burst into tears. It's like I can't stop looking at everything that's happening. But then I'm so stressed. I want to go over there. I want to go there and save a child. I took Frank and I said, if we could get a couple of kids in here, we could do it.
That's why we wrote the book for Ukraine. I'm waiting for those proceeds to go in to that woman to send it. It's very important to get our thoughts out to save those kids. That's the most important thing.
Right.
Okay, now I'm going to move to Sanam. Have you done any writing, Sanam, in your busy life?
I have done a little bit. It's primarily though in the context of academic. Like we have actually recently started a e-portfolio.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, and I guess, you know, if it's on more personal, you can do this too, but I think the e-portfolio for academic purposes, they want us to be able to kind of track our progress, like how we start and then how we finish, and then we can show, for example, I think they're thinking this might be something for either research or to show potential employers and whatnot. But I think many people, and I think everyone, well, first let me thank everyone for sharing all your moving and stories and your writing, because I'm sure it is not always easy to do so. Many people, and I think you all have showed this to me as well today, they find a therapeutic element in writing. You know, it helps them process everything when you feel helpless, when you see everything that is going on and you're not sure what to do. I will say that I have been, you know, I hate to say the word pleased, but I've been encouraged, I guess. There seems to be a lot of good work being done. Just today, for example, in Poland, I heard there was someone with apparently a huge, large property that is trying to, I think the word is crowdsource, like ideas about how to set up like a large tent, to house people, because it's a matter a little bit now of space and having an environmentally controlled space for everybody to stay and everything. And in particular, you guys were mentioning the children, that I think in any war, I mean, the victims of war are many. And I think probably the most heartbreaking of them are children, because I think especially, and I think psychological research may back me up on this, from 0 to 7 or 8 years old is so formative. I mean, any age trauma can be devastating, but especially at that age, if you have such trauma and upheaval. And I saw one clip, I think he literally, a young boy, maybe 5, 6 years old, I'm not sure, but he was relatively safe. He was crossing over but you could tell just the exhaustion and that he had been crying, and it just breaks your heart, because and it's so many people are saying it's not getting better. It's only getting worse, the situation, in turn as it drags on. And I remember someone was saying at the very beginning that either it's going to be resolved quickly, or it's going to escalate and drag on quite a long, I mean, anything can happen at any moment, I'm sure, but and you want to remain hopeful, but and this is not just the case in Ukraine, wherever there's a huge migration of people, you wonder how best to take care of their mental health needs as well.
Exactly. Like at the border.
Lynn, Lasita didn't finish. She want to add something.
Oh,
Okay, I want to let Najet, I want to let Sanam finish first. She's in the middle of speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I thought you finished. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was actually just reading also what Melisita just wrote, and I do agree, writing is better and cheaper than a therapist. So I would say that reading and writing, for me, reading, I gained such a, and I guess hearing everyone's stories is because it makes you feel less alone. And I think that's the great thing about our, hearing how people have gone through things and gotten through to the other side kind of gives you hope for when you're in a tough situation, even though
it can happen to any one of us at any time.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, Lasita, we're going to end with you.
Well, Sanam, that was very beautiful, and it inspired me too. And the other aspect of war, of course, is that, and I sent a photo of this man with his family that had died. I think it happened fairly early, and there was a mortar shell that fell on refugees trying to get to Kiev, or Kiev, however it's pronounced. And so, but one of the problems is that then people get into retribution. And so the war starts because somebody had an unprovoked aggression, and yet they justify it based on the fighting that was happening in the eastern areas. And then this man who's now lost his wife and children, he going to go off and just want to kill every Russian soldier? And I mean, and all the other people who are flying there to help the Ukrainians, but it all gets more and more and more horrible and all the stuff. And I'm just really scared about the Baltic states on the on the Baltic Sea, because the Russians have this tiny little part to the west of Lithuania.
Yeah.
And it's their only ice-free port. And that was given to them or taken after the Second World War. And that could really erupt into a NATO-Russian conflict. I mean, so there's so much sadness associated with it.
So sad.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank
so
you for
sad.
sharing. Okay, everyone, I think it was a very touching meeting. And Tofik will
Yeah.
send the recording to every one of you.
Sure.
So you could hear what was said.
If
I
you
just
don't
have one
mind-
question, Tofik, before we end. I
Yes.
want to ask Shirley, what was that
Mhm.
thing you were holding up? I saw like a tail or something. Unmute yourself,
Unmute
Shirley.
yourself, sister.
It was one of my cats.
Wow.
I just rescued another cat, so we now have 6 cats in the house.
Lynn, if you don't mind, I want to share one last thing here, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead, honey.
Okay, thank you. So just for Ukrainian cause, I'm not asking anyone to donate or bring or lend support, but just so excited to have people interested in this. It's a painful thing that those
Exactly.
brothers and sisters in Ukraine are going through. I speak as a Muslim, and I don't mean religion, or I'm a human, but from a Muslim part, we went through hard moments too, and I guess
Every
Sukaina
religion
mentioned, Sukaina mentioned that for Iraq, Yemen, Palestine, whatsoever, and Muslims in general, okay, not all, but we have this love for any other faith. We have this support for anyone who is suffering from war or any other pain, And I noticed a injustice during this last war for Ukraine. There is no doubt. Putin is a new Hitler, Adolf Hitler. Putin is an anarchist. He should be shot, to be fair and to be direct. But I feel that Europeans and some people here in our free country, yes, I'm not American, but I'm a resident and I love this country. But I noticed some injustice regarding our, I don't say Arabic or Muslim, but our kids, especially. We are Lynn's kids and we're doing all this, of course, for people who are, but for kids. Don't you, I ask myself, don't you see Yemen? They're killing. I saw yesterday a video with statistic from almost 140,000 kids who were killed in Yemen. And guess what? Not by Arabia Saudi, another country more Muslim and Arab, because the war in Yemen is not mastered by any European or American or any, but with Arabia Saudi. Anyway, Iraq, the same thing. You know the story.
Close it. You're muted, Tofi. You are muted. Okay, go ahead.
We are all, yes, I'm sorry. We are all humans and we do support Ukrainian kids and we should do more, especially right now.
100%.
Kids in Ukraine are our priority. And that's why Lynn is fighting to make this happen for those donations. And
Sure,
thank you
Lynn,
so
it's happening
much
here
for,
all over the place.
thank you so much for many people among us and others who donated or bought a book. Just to close, we all these books that you see in Amazon or in our website written by my wife, my lovely wife,
And other people, not only
and
his
other
wife.
people, of course, sisterhood, and we once we get any earning, and by the way,
It's such a
anywhere
nice.
comes from, we don't make even hundreds of dollars, but just a little bit. But we want people now that Ukraine is in war, and to stop this new Adolf Hitler, this terror, please and please, if you can't donate, just share wide and sorry for being.
Share the website. All you have to do is share the website. They'll
That's
learn
it,
all that
that's
they
it,
have to learn about
The
these. Okay,
website-
everyone.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can I say
Yes,
something?
yes, sister. Yeah, go ahead.
We've been around long enough. The wars that the major wars around this world,
Yeah.
this is maybe the most dangerous
Yes.
because
right.
you're dealing with a man, Putin, who is
Yes,
not a
right.
human. He's a
Right.
monster, just like Donald
Yeah.
Trump. And Trump
Yeah.
is injecting
Yeah.
himself into this every single day. While we
think
were
he's a hero.
listening,
Putin is a
Josh
hero.
Hawley, excuse me, Josh Hawley just made a statement, you know who he is,
Yeah.
about Biden is an idiot. Biden is promoting the war. This blah, 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 blah. We got to support Putin, and it's like, this is taking us to a place we've not been to before in this country.
Yes.
And it is very scary,
Yeah.
very, very scary. And I don't know that many people are really awake.
Well, it's
I got
terrible.
my hair cut and color
Yeah.
today. She's not going to know anything about what's going on. She doesn't care.
And the mass medias are putting oil on fire. We should be aware of that. Anyway,
Ah,
thank you, Lynn. Thank you.
Tofi,
Lynn.
it's late and we have to go. That's it.
Yes, go ahead. I said Lynn.
Thank you. Mwah, mwah,
Thank you.
mwah to
Love you all.
everyone. I love you all. I do not know who you want to say. Everybody else, I respect you. Shirley, your books are coming next week. I think the date is between the 28th and the 30th. Okay? Enjoy.
And I'm sharing the links for donation. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.